Residents of Ukraine's bombed capital are taking empty bottles in search of water and crowding into cafes for power and warmth after the latest onslaught of Russian missile strikes. Flights have resumed at Cleveland Hopkins International Airport. This after a car smashed through an airfield gate and drove onto the runway. No, they aren't. In fact, I talked to many shoppers here at this grocery store, and they tell me they cannot afford to keep this up, trying to pay for basic necessities like your toilet paper. Just to be clear, like you said, none of those issues have happened here, but those faith leaders tell me they've been monitoring ones that have happened in other areas. For instance, like signs, not this one in particular. When they show up to the polls, it says some voters have seen signs pointing in the wrong direction, which in turn deters those voters from voting. So they want to make sure things like that do not happen here. We're celebrating what our News4Jax insiders are thankful for this year. Insider Charlene shares, "I am a 16-year heart transplant recipient, and I am thankful for life, to be with my family and friends all year, not just the holidays." Such a blessing there. Well, Joy, let me start by just describing the conditions here, because John was talking about the wind gusts, and you can already feel it out here. Obviously, you see the trees whipping around. This is indeed some of the erosion that they have been hit with, as you just mentioned. So you talk about where I'm standing. Some of these homeowners told me that, look, this used to be about 10 feet higher worth of sand. No, Janice, it hasn't slowed down all day. In fact, you can see how many people are out here right now. Just look at the lines, even right here at this pretzel shop. And then over here to our right, look at all this traffic. We've literally sat in traffic today just to be able to get inside. So we spoke to shoppers who told me they were looking for the very best deals. We're talking about jewelry, we're talking about clothes, you name it. Yes, Joy, I spoke to some owners who live here in Volano Beach, and of course they are getting prepared for this storm because they don't take any chances. They're used to it, right? So some of them said that they're making sure they're prepared, have their items stored before there's any potential flooding issues. Because if you think about it, just how you guys mentioned, there are a lot of homes here along this area that actually are barely still standing after previous storms.
I'm Scott Johnson.
And I'm Brittany Jones, in for Mary Bear and Tom Wills this evening. News4Jax reporter Marilyn Parker joins us live now with more on this story. Marilyn, you spoke with a pediatrician in our area about this. I had the measles when I was little, and it wasn't any fun. Good information. Thank you, Marilyn. The St. Johns County Sheriff's Office is pushing back against accused killer Aiden Fucci's request to be moved from the Duval County Jail, or at least out of solitary confinement. In a newly filed court document, the Sheriff's Office argues that Fucci lost his rights to be housed in the facility of his choice when he was indicted for first-degree murder. Fucci was transferred to the Duval County Jail after his arrest because the St. Johns County Jail does not have a juvenile wing. Now, Fucci's defense attorney says the 15-year-old has been in a form of solitary confinement for more than 400 days, and his attorney argues that amounts to psychological punishment. Prosecutors say the teen stabbed his schoolmate, 13-year-old Tristan Bailey, to death. Her body was found on Mother's Day. News4Jax reporter Renee Beninati is going through the sheriff's objection right now and will bring us more tonight on the 10 o'clock news. All right, thank you, David. For the first time, we're hearing from an employee inside the Chesapeake Walmart where a manager opened fire in the break room. Jessie Wilczewski was an employee for just 5 days before the shooting. She was inside the break room when the gunfire rang out. That's just heartbreaking, where police have identified 5 of the 6 people killed: 52-year-old Kelly Pyle, 38-year-old Brian Pendleton, 43-year-old Lorenzo Gamble, 70-year-old Randy Blevins, and 22-year-old Tanika Johnson. The 6th victim, a 16-year-old boy, has not been identified yet. Hours after a crash in a pond brought out a dive team in St. Augustine, thankfully, the driver was found alive near the scene. St. Johns County deputies say this all happened on Marketplace Drive near the Best Bet off I-95. A spokesperson says the driver suffered minor injuries. A tow truck was able to pull the SUV from the pond. Now that Thanksgiving is here, Christmas is right around the corner. It's hard to believe that, right? Well, local business owners are working to ensure children living in one of the poorest zip codes in Florida receive presents this holiday. The owners of Cuts, Lines, and Trims Barbershop on Moncrief are once again hosting a Christmas party to give away gifts to children in need. But this year, they're forced to change the party location. News4JAX reporter Eric Avignon joins us live from the Northwest Side to explain. Eric, what's been happening with development along the St. Johns River downtown? As you can see from our tower cam, even though it is dark outside, the city has been talking for years about new parks and changes to old ones like Metro Park. Some work has started, but as News4JAX reporter Jim Pickett shows us, with the help of Drone 4, there is a lot more to be done. Yes, I'm looking forward to seeing what it looks like. Many thanks to Jim. Well, still ahead, getting ready to do your holiday shopping this weekend. Scammers are also getting ready to try to take advantage of you.
After the break, we're sharing the 4 ways you can protect yourself and your money this Black Friday.
And up next, a consumer alert for you. Your Ford SUV could cause a fire in your garage. We'll break down what's causing the issue and what to do while you wait for the repair.
Eggs and butter. It's going to cost me probably $12.
Every time Jody Ransom shows up to the store, it's like preparing to walk onto a battlefield.
I'm going to get beat up. It's just the prices, you know, like everything's changed.
And it's the inflation that's handing out the punches.
Family pack of meat used to be $10. You know, now a 3-person pack of meat is $15. It's just a lot. Milk, eggs, 18 eggs. $6.
And Ransom isn't the only one taking a beating on the wallet. The government says from August to September, prices have increased by 0.4% compared to 0.1% from July to August.
That was $5 for that little pack.
Hoover lives on a fixed income and can barely afford his new grocery bill.
I only get once a month because I'm on Social Security. So it's gone up about $65 a month. Just for the same things. I'm lucky if I have $25 left over a month.
On top of that, core inflation jumped 0.6% from August to September and 6.6% over the past 12 months. Core inflation is the change in prices of goods and services minus food and energy sectors. Unfortunately, it's the largest increase in 40 years.
The change needs to happen as soon as possible, because people on fixed income are really having it hard right now.
Even the cost of eye care has gone up. Take these glasses, for example. Last year, I paid $278 for them. But with inflation numbers sitting at a 3.2% jump, now I'd pay about $10 more.
I feel like we're being punished. And $10 might sound like a little bit of money, but $10 times $10 times $10, it adds up.
And economists say things like housing and rent obviously are not going to be coming down probably for like another year or so, but a little glimmer of hope for those of you who can afford to still be able to shop this holiday season. Big box stores are now starting to put those deals already out there. We're live downtown tonight. Brittany Jones, Channel 4, the local station. Well, Joy, let me start by just describing the conditions here because John was talking about the wind gusts and you can already feel it out here. Obviously, you see the trees whipping around. Look at the waves over there. People have been stopping by all throughout the day, taking pictures. Obviously, it's become quite the spectacle. But of course, you don't see anybody in the water right now because it is too dangerous. Officials are flying double red flags to make sure people do not get into the water. And also, you cannot drive on the beach as well. I'm even wearing sunglasses because the wind is blowing so hard in the sand. I'm trying to protect it from getting in my eyes. But I spoke to people who live here on Amelia Island and also down in Mayport, and they tell me they are going to ride out the storm right at home.
I see big waves coming in.
For Alex Cassiano and her son Alex, feeling the heavy winds and looking out at the massive waves as a storm approaches never gets old.
When we used to live by the ocean, I would be a lot more concerned, but now we live a little bit inland on the island. And so the risk of flooding is at least minimized from the storm surge.
And she's grateful they're no longer in an evacuation zone, but today officials issued an evacuation order for Amelia Island beaches and low-lying areas. And the county has also closed schools.
It's now canceled for tomorrow as well, so now we're looking at 2.5 days extra early this week where we have kiddos.
We also took a trip down to Mayport to check out the Jetties Park area where it usually floods during storms. The Smith family grew up here.
And you're going to have that for probably 2 or 3 days. And places you used to think you could drive, you can't drive there no more. Like parts of Heckscher Drive will go underwater.
Every storm's different, yes. Prepare and be ready to go.
But this is a different experience for New Floridian Robert Swinson.
Because you don't get this kind of wind up in Atlanta. No. So this is already more windy than I'm used to. And you don't get to see waves like this either. This is the kind of stuff I used to see on TV.
Officials say they expect an estimated 3 to 5 feet of storm surge and possible tornadoes. And Cassiano tells me she knows these storms can pack a mighty punch, so they're still planning to prepare.
All our stuff that's outside, patio furniture, kids' things that comes inside, and put it in the garage and then hope for the best.
All right, so again, you can see how hard this wind is blowing out here. But just so you know, sandbag sites have already been shut down. They shut down at 5 p.m. today here in Nassau County, and they will not reopen tomorrow. But in case you need shelter, there is a shelter open in Callahan. It's the multi-use center as well, pet friendly. And they said that you could just bring all of your important items with you and stay there for shelter.